Pope Benedict is resigning. First time that a pope is resigning since 1415, nearly 600 years. And we are told it is because of health reasons. Not buying it. I believe it is because of some scandals that the church has gone through. So of course, there's a huge sex scandal that has exploded under Pope Benedict and perhaps might get even larger. And I believe that he wants to leave before that happens. But I'm a bad guy. I'm a cynical guy for stating what other news people are not allowed to state. They have to say, well, you know, he's had some upsides and some downsides. And, oh, ailing health. Absolutely. Sure. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen, the other pope went on and on and on with his ailing health. But perhaps maybe that's the reason why. But look, I'm a skeptical guy. I don't believe what people in authority tell me as a matter of course. Now, of course, they could be right from time to time, and could it be that it's because of his health? It could be, but usually when somebody says, I'm going to spend time with my family, that means they got fired or they want to leave before something explodes on them. So we do not have a new pope yet. We will probably by the end of March. That's when I can joyfully announce, Habemus Papam! But right now we have to say, Adios Papam, or in Italian, Addio Papam, which I did not know until today. All right, so let us now assess Pope Benedict's upsides and downsides. A little unvarnished as opposed to the rest of the media. So in the sense that we'll actually keep it real. So first of all, giant negative, as I just told you, huge sex scandals exposed under Pope Benedict. Now, to be fair, he's not the one that did the sex scandals, and they happen to be exposed under him. They weren't necessarily committed under him. And as a positive, he actually set new guidelines to prevent abuse. Now, as a negative, he never punished the bishops for the cover-ups. Never, never. And by the way, before he became pope, since 1982, he ran the office that was in charge of punishing the bishops for cover-ups. Never punished them, okay? And so that's a giant downside to, obviously, his reign here, that there wasn't significant accountability for the horrible sex scandals that happened. Look, there's one that's brewing now in Los Angeles. We already know about it. Could it get worse? In 2010, it was all over the world. We had thousands of people come out in Europe, Australia, South America, and obviously before that, all over the United States as well. Now, on other issues, in one of his books, he wrote about how, as the Pope, he is exonerating all Jews for killing Jesus Christ. Now, I find that hilarious. But I guess some people wanted to hear the Pope say it. He said, look, it's not all the Jews, okay? I read the Bible, and I read the history of it, and it turns out there was a lot of other factors involved, and you can't blame all the Jews. Well, thanks God for that. So that's a positive, though, and other popes had not said it, so that's good. On the other hand, he promoted sainthood for Pope Pius XII, who was the Pope during World War II, and a lot of people say didn't do much to help Jews who were getting massacred in the Holocaust that happened at that time. So, and by the way, the Pope also refused to remove a priest in Britain who was a Holocaust denier as well. So that didn't sit well with some groups, understandably so. Now, another positive, he actually wrote that the new financial order must be based on ethics, and he criticized the current banking system, and I think he's totally right about that. Downside is that there was a significant money laundering scandal at the Vatican where millions of dollars had to be seized, and you couldn't even use your credit cards at the Vatican for a while because Italy was so mad that the Vatican was not taking action to stop that money laundering. So, as usual, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now, speaking of which, he was against distributing condoms in 2009, so that's another negative for him, saying that they had nothing to do with the spread of AIDS or preventing the spread of AIDS, which seems ridiculous, right? Now, the good news, in 2010, he changed his mind, and he was in favor of distributing condoms. That was only to male prostitutes, because that, of course, wasn't going to lead to conception anyway, right? I'm not sure what happened to papal infallibility between 2009 and 2010. Was he infallible in 2009 or was he infallible in 2010? No one's quite explained that to me yet. Now, of course, another negative for the Pope was that he was a Nazi. That's a bit of a downside. Okay, now, remember it was the Nazi youth in the beginning. When he was 14 years old, he says that he was conscripted into that and did not have a choice. Then he became a man of the cloth, so he was soon let out of that. But then he was re-put into the Nazi army to do anti-aircraft work, etc. But to his credit, he left the German army before the war ended. So now a lot of people didn't, so you can say that gives more credence to his explanation that, look, man, it wasn't my choice. They made me do it, and as soon as I had a chance, I got out of the German army. So fair enough, and that's, of course, a long time ago. Now, another negative is that he has banned gays from priesthood, which, that's not very surprising given the stance of the Catholic Church, but he is the one that made that explicit and saying, no, we're not going to reconsider that issue. It is what it is, and gays are banned. On the upside, though, he got rid of limbo. Not Rush Limbaugh, but limbo as in somewhere between heaven and hell. Now, who would be stuck in limbo in the old days? It would be, for example, kids who had not yet gotten baptized but passed away before that. That's tragic. And their parents apparently believed that they lived in or stayed in purgatory for the rest of time. He got rid of that, which then leads me to be enormously amused. All right, I'm the bad guy, but Pope, please. Okay, really? There was a purgatory before, and all of a sudden the Pope's like, hey, listen, God, come on, let's have a conversation here. Those are innocent kids. Don't do this. Don't do this. Okay, what, did purgatory exist before and then he got rid of it because he talked to God? Or is he now saying, oh, our bad, all the other popes for thousands of years got it totally wrong. It turns out there never was purgatory. Your kids were fine to begin with. I talked to God and we cleared that up. Please, come on. Who believes this? Really? Infallible, by the way. Infallible. I mean, forget the condom thing and him changing his mind on that. I can give you 100 examples of that. Really, do you as a sentient human being, you lovely Catholics out there that I agree with you on, I'm sure, 100 different things. Although, by the way, one other thing I disagreed with Pope Benedict on was he actually went on a crusade against nuns in this country, who I did agree with, because they were actually trying to alleviate poverty. He said, no, what's more important is our stance against homosexuality and our stance on abortion. Get back in line. Now, look, again, he's a complicated character. I'm keeping it real with you. Look, he spoke out against wars and against the banking system. I agree with him on that stuff. But infallible? Infallible. You don't believe that. There's not a single Catholic that actually believes it. They might say they believe it, but they think this dude who was in the Nazi army for a while, again, I'm not blaming him for it. He was 14 when he was first conscripted, etc. But like he later became infallible? No, you don't believe that. Come on. And there was Limbaugh, now there isn't Limbaugh. You don't believe that either. Come on, this is all fairy tale stuff. Now, you can have faith in something higher than you. And I might disagree with you on a higher purpose, but you could believe in a higher purpose. There's a lot of things you can have faith in, but not the specifics of this religion. And the guy in the funny suit that goes in the Pope-mobile and has the funny hats actually talks to God and is infallible and changes what you should do in your life? No, ridiculous. One more time. Pope, please.